Hello, welcome to Chrysalis Invictus. This is a reading for those who are feeling like they're maybe in a dark place or needing guidance out of a dark place. This comes from a very personal place for me. The last few years of my life have been very dark and very heavy, and I feel a sense of emerging and awakening, or striving or trying to find a new place or a new way forward for myself. And it feels like I keep getting pulled back in or back down. And I was inspired to make this reading because I feel like when I ran my channel before, I definitely did what I wanted to, but there were also things that I felt like I had to do, or messages that I kept from doing, and a sort of image, whether knowingly or unknowingly, that I wanted to portray of having it together or being, I don't know, in some way spiritual, spiritually together. And that's just not the case. I think that any of the help that I've provided to people, or any of the work that I've done that has benefited people, tends to come through my shadow. So I wanted to bring this reading forward for anyone who resonates with that. If you do not resonate with that, you probably will not resonate with this reading. The poem today is from the book Selected Poems of Gwendolyn Brooks. And the page I turned to was this one. So in honor of David Anderson Brooks, my father. July 30th, 1883 to November 21st, 1959. A dryness is upon the house my father loved and tended. Beyond his firm and sculptured door, his light and lease have ended. He walks the valleys now, replies to sun and wind forever. No more the cramping chamber's chill, no more the hindering fever. Now out upon the wide, clean air, my father's soul revives, all innocent of self-interest and the fear that strikes and strives. He who was goodness, gentleness, and dignity is free, translates to public love, old private charity. So perhaps some of you are called to this reading through grief. And if so, then that is an excellent reminder of that grief is love, I believe. And the cards, the overall energies for this reading. So I am going to set up some piles. This is just sort of an introduction. I'm trying out new things. So, if you're here for it, you're here for it. If you're not, that's cool. There's lots of great videos out there. So I have the Page of Cups, and this was very interesting. So a lot of different messages came through in this one for me. But the main thing that struck me was that this is a cat with a fish in a cup. And usually the Page of Cups, there's like a little bit of, this is meant to represent perhaps love or some kind of inspiration. And the idea of the predator having the prey in a cup and offering it as love was really fascinating to me. And I feel like this idea of conditional love came up for me. So immature or conditional love that is, or is something that is not necessarily intentionally, but something that is predatory or needy or taking. And then grief can be that way, right? Like when we're not thinking of it as love, it really pulls from us and it takes from us. And it also can make us feel like the love is limited to smaller spaces, and that there's a greater love that we can be reminded of if we keep going. And then the oracle card that was pulled here is from the Dark Mirror Oracle, and it's Downcast Pride. And I was really struck by how the head has roots that are separate from the body. And it made me think of, that dissociative state or having difficulty with the body, and almost like an overall reminder for us to connect with the love and the grief in our bodies and to work through that. And the other part here was just that a great humbling. So maybe something that you don't want to happen happens, and it humbles you to, though it may be devastating or it may be something that you were avoiding, it's almost like it frees you of some sort of image of yourself that you wanted to portray, somewhat like, I guess, me doing this reading. So I'm going to set up the piles and then we'll get into the pick a card portion. Okay, so we have 3 piles here for you to choose from. I'm really having a hard time finding a good setup in the space that I live in, so please bear with me as I try different things. But anyway, so there are 3 piles here. Serpent stone. I don't know if this is tourmaline. I think it's tourmaline. Black stone. And then I have this chunk of the name is escaping me right now. It's a red stone. I want to say that it's ore. Yeah. Okay. Anywho, choose your pile. We'll get to it. There's no perfection here. All right, pile number 1. This is your reading. So you chose the serpent stone or just intuitively chose pile number 1. And your card is Downcast Pride. All right, so if you didn't watch the introduction to this video, you may want to. It's not required, but let me pull some tarot cards to clarify this message. Okay, so immediately now, oh, this is so uncomfortable. Okay. Are you feeling that? Are you feeling how uncomfortable this is? Immediately we're getting the Magician. Let me first speak about tradition. There is, you know how some, like an institution will garnish your wages, like for taxes or, I don't know, there's different institutions that will do that I can't think of right now, but there is this energetic garnishing of your wages, so of your powers. There's a way in which you are spending your powers or your energy frivolously. But what is underneath, and I think why you can be so frivolous, is because it is boundless and it is free and it is full. And this is creating a kind of split between your heart spirit and your head spirit. I've never had this come through before, but let's go with it. So a heart spirit being something that is connected to the roots, something that is connected to ancestry, even on a biological level, genealogy, or your body, your, the thing that we tap into when we do yoga or any kind of movement. And then the head spirit would be like the realm of the intellectual, or like theory, I guess. So the theory of something, and also psychic connection. And when there's a split between psychic connection and rooted connection, you're getting this kind of blockage at the center, and you see there's a collar on both here. And this collar is really interesting to me. I feel like I want to pull a card to see what this collar means. So just to get a better idea. I'm also seeing a mimicking here of this root and the fox's paw, like a posturing or like a position that you felt like you had to take. That's... What is this collar? It's strength reversed. Oh, okay. So if you have any sort of codependency, any kind of person in your life, or this is likely you eventually, if it was internalized at a young age, but this limiting of your capabilities or strengths. So this is believing that you are incapable of taming some kind of beast inside of you, or some kind of darkness inside of you. I really want to put this card this way. Look at that. There it is. Okay, I don't know if you can see that very well, but we've got the Magician and Strength representing, so head spirit, heart spirit. I love this, okay? So this is Aries and Leo energy, very strong, creative energies. It's like you were, I keep hearing bound for the taking. It's like you feel like in order for people to absorb, like take you seriously, or in order for people to love or care for you, that you have to somehow bind yourself or posture yourself. See, the paw is in the same way. It's like you have to do this, you have to move in a certain way, or like, it's almost like the mask you created was under false pretenses. I don't know if this is necessarily grief related. It's the high current energies of, like, it's like being bombarded by voices. And, you know, there's if you've ever done a psych evaluation, or extensive psych evaluations, and now I'm giving myself away, but there are these questions that are often poorly phrased that are asking you whether you have voices telling you to do certain things. And then there's, there's a self inside of myself that kind of speaks to me. There's a self that observes myself, but they're asking if you hear like another voice. And this to me is not necessarily other voices, although it could be like the volume being turned up on other voices, the volume being turned up on even just like anything you're not trying to listen to. It feels like your darkness turns up the volume on anything that you don't want to listen to. So whatever is directly in front of you, you can't hear. And this is very interesting because I think it has something to do with this blockage here between your physical body and your mind. I mean, a very simple bit of advice for this reading, Pal 1, would be to connect the body and mind. So any kind of physical practice. This came up in the last reading that I was doing. Wow, there's so many powerful energies here for you. So the Chariot, yeah, it's almost like being bound by this emotional contract. I feel like there's this idea that you have to care for certain people, or you have to answer certain people, you have to reply, you have to communicate, you have to listen to every voice. And this is about, both of these cards are about strength. So if you're wondering what should I do with my body, for instance, and I'm not a doctor or anything, but I do believe that is very strongly related to, is it strongly related to the motorcycle that just pulled up outside of my window? It's really loud. We don't know, although it is black and white. So this is the, see, me listening to everything that isn't what I want to be hearing. Or, thank you, sir, for your input. Okay. Distraction. But these are both cards of strength. So if you're wondering, like, what should I do in my body, I would say focus on anything that involves strength. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to lift weights. There are lots of different strength-based trainings, like where you use your body weight, or just focusing on that, on I want to be stronger in my body. It seems like that's a good way to cultivate this mind-body connection. Let me get something to harmonize these two energies, more advice to harmonize these energies. Okay, the Queen of Wands. Okay. Yeah, okay. So, interesting. I feel like if you are faced with certain confrontations on your way out of this dark place, embrace it. The fights you're fighting are the good fight right now. There's an energy of awakening that creates a temporary boundary between you and perhaps someone else, or someone else's a group of people, more than one singular person. But this is a necessary boundary right now, because you are, how crooked is this? Because you're in the business right now of gathering strength, and you don't need that. Need you do not need to listen to everyone. Actually, in fact, I would say listen to almost no one, except for your guides, your intuition, what you yourself knows to be true. If something tells you that someone, some voice, some part of yourself tells you that this is not for you, then it's not for you right now. But it doesn't, this isn't infinite. Like, we aren't about seeing what's next. We're just about getting to that lighter place, out of the dark into the light, into the lighter place. And a lot of it here has to do with creativity and strength. So building up a resistance to what is commonplace. Okay. And using your fire against the earth. So if you are, if you have been indoctrinated by your own self-worth, meaning you have taken and internalized things that you have maybe even just once heard, or maybe even just perceived from comparison or whatever, all that bullshit that we gather up inside of ourselves. That's really what this feeling is. That's what we're burning away. That's the scab we're picking at. And we need to let it bleed, because there's no movement without that. And then there's also this building of strength where we've got the eternal on our side to do so, to do these things. So when you get to that point of like, I can't listen, is it your head or is it your body? Is it your head or is it your body? And either one needs to play a role in balancing the other out, it feels like. All right. I think that's where I'm going to leave it for now. Please let me know if this helped you in the comments, and I wish you all the best. Take care. Pile 2. Welcome. This is for you. We get fated to suffer. Okay. Victim narrative. Let's go. Let's go. All right. All right. You're being called to be very, very honest with yourself right now. Where do I wear the victim cloak? Where am I? Do I feel cursed? Do I feel like my family is cursed? Do I feel like my lot in life is to have it the worst? Or do I need to have it the worst? Or do I compete with others for who has it worse? In some situations, maybe not all, but maybe in some. There's this idea that a poison apple is offered to you and you choose it as well. And this is an interesting idea, because in some ways we do choose the poison apples, and in other ways we just think we're eating an apple. We think we're doing something nourishing for ourselves, and the mistakes, if you want to call them that, the choices backfire. So this is a very interesting one, pile 2. And I'm interested to see your tarot cards. I'm just shuffling now. And first out is the 7 of Pentacles. Okay, so this is definitely comparison, watching someone else's. It's almost like you're so busy watching someone else's garden grow that you forget to water your own. And I think that there's a good reason for that. Like, I'm not saying that something didn't happen to create this energy or this belief or whatever we want to call it. It's more like it's time to get out of there. It's time to stop looking over at someone else's plate and what they're eating. Or, I have this, my example would be this before I turn over the next card. So, I know someone who spends their entire time out in public looking at other people and criticizing them and judging them and looking at what they're putting in their shopping cart, looking at what they're wearing, looking at how they're parenting, looking at how they eat, how they interact with others. And there's so much intense criticism, and all they are doing now that I can see it, what I see is what they say to themselves. And man, they're nasty to themselves. They are not kind to themselves. And I think this is something to really notice, is if you feel like you're being drawn to comparing yourself, or if when you don't necessarily compare yourself, but like when push comes to shove and you feel really down, you're like, how come that person gets support? How come that person gets love? How come that person gets this, that, or the other thing? And it's not helping you at all. Okay, the Queen of Wands. Okay. So yeah, it's this is about empowering yourself. So you're a badass. You have great energy. You also have developed a lot of really keen tools. And it's interesting because it almost feels like this fated to suffer, whatever that was, whatever you were doing, yeah, your garden died. Like your garden died. You weren't tending it. You were looking at someone else's or someone else's. I don't know. Other people's. Like I'm struggling with that right now. I'm struggling with plurals. How self-involved of me. But this feels like what they've got is for them. What I've got is for me. And I'm going to do something cool. I'm going to do something cool with it. It's taking back your power. And we've got the Page of Wands. Okay. So there's a certain aspect of broadcasting. I feel like the way in which you speak yourself is alienating the possibilities that you're looking for to heal and to come out of this dark place. And part of that is realigning the way that you your speak yourself to other people, but also speak your situation. So maybe for some of you, if you're like right now, you're swearing at me, and you're like, I'm not a victim. Okay, like I get it. Like nothing that I'm saying is overly flattering and I'm being very direct, but like it's sort of like maybe you don't feel that way inside, but you still speak yourself a victim. Just be careful and cautious of your words. I think right now you have a lot of energy behind your words. And part of that is keeping the darkness. There's also this element of like the unknown when it comes to what do I say if I put myself in this unknown situation? What do I like? How do I behave if I don't behave in the way that I have before? How do I orient myself to life without darkness? What do I talk about if I'm not complaining? Like, I know that may sound silly, but if you listen to people talk, a lot of times the things that we talk to each other about are problems either with ourselves or other people or not always, but it can kind of fall in that way. I do feel like I have a lot of friends who are helpers, and I feel like I end up only talking to them when I have a problem. But like I feel like that is a scenario that's been created because I don't know what, like it's almost like bring up a different subject and see how it goes. That might help. Ten of Wands. Okay, yeah. So there's definitely the suffering here. There's definitely been a lot to carry. I'm not taking that away, but just know that you are not fated to suffer. You are not, this is a heavy load, but look how strong. Look how strong. Look how strong you can become from carrying this. And I know it's not ideal. I know it's not like, oh, that's such a gift that like the struggle gave me or whatever. Like it doesn't have to be phrased that way. You can just be like, yeah, it sucked. And here I am and I'm strong. And all right, let's move on. Okay. I feel like there's this very direct need to, or important imperative that you understand that the suffering comes to an end, that it does end. I think that's a big one here. I feel like I've really muddled your reading in that I should have said things at the beginning that I'm now saying at the end, which is interesting because speak yourself differently. Okay. Ace of Pentacles. Okay, so this is what's incoming. This is your master advice. There is a there is a new beginning. Okay? There's a new life, there's a new beginning, and it looks different. And what has been taken from you will be restored, but differently, particularly in if you are able to adhere to this new way of communicating yourself, but also your emotions. Being vulnerable is going to be the best way forward. This new beginning requires of you that you be vulnerable, in fact. So if you can manage to open your hearts, open your. It's interesting that I'm getting heart from this because it's a pentacle, but I think that it may actually be for you, like breathing could be really important. Like the difference between falling down a dark hole and not could just be to remember to breathe. There's a particular incoming gift, I want to say, that is material. So this could be money, or it could be something like pregnancy. There is something incoming that needs your emotional vulnerability, but it is a new, it's something that felt far away or something that felt like kind of impossible, sort of like I'll never touch the moon. But then all of a sudden the moon comes to you and you can touch it. You can even taste it, which is interesting. You're like there's a full experience ahead of you. The Ten of Wands, the other thing that I wanted to say here is that remember to throw away what you don't need. Some of you may be holding on to something physical that is it's pulling on you. The road and path of ease is not the road you're looking for. And so that ideal, I think there's a bit of that as well, is that there's like an ideal that maybe you think you need to chase, but I think if you got it, it wouldn't be what you think it is. It would be like it feels like it would be twisted and unsafe. So like if there's something that you're like, oh, if I just get this, then everything will be better. Like I'll be out of this darkness, I'll be out of this depression. I feel like that's not true. I think that it's much more about you and orienting yourself, how you orient yourself to your pain, how you describe your pain to yourself and to others, and then how you hold your queenly or like this royal kind of energy, like almost divine reflective energy, how you hold yourself. Give yourself the gift of a new day. And one of the ways that you can do that is is like have a shower, like put on nice lotion, put on your best skivvies, like put like make yourself, adorn yourself as if you were this like majestic, as you are, like a majestic kind of being, and feel yourself grow. Okay, get larger, take up space, and just be in that energy for a bit. Okay, that's what I have for you right now. I wish you all the best. Take care. Sending so much love. All right, pile number 3. This setup is a disaster. If you see my headphone cords, I like whatever. This is just, It is what it is. The messages so far have been really interesting. So let's get into yours and we'll see what we've got. All right, Triumph of Lies. Okay. Yeah. So big issues here with trust in your dark place. Feeling not only trust, but I want to say I'm getting two different like readings almost out of this card. I'm feeling like for some of you, this is about trust. For some of you, it's about connection, like the troubling nature of your disconnection from other people. Like you can't feel that you're loved, you can't feel that you're appreciated, or you're feeling like you've got like just so much space between you and other people, even when you're close. And maybe in your head, you know, there's also this like with trust that it's tied up in confidence. So I feel like both things are tied up in confidence, both the feeling of disconnection and the feeling of distrust. Like let's look at the okay. Let's look at the tarot and then behold, we have the Lover. So yeah, there's definitely for some of you, this depression was brought on by a relationship, a romantic relationship in particular, or it's affecting a romantic relationship in particular. There's a sense of like wanting to unify yourself with another person, but not feeling like you like feeling like who you are is too dark or who you are is too like you're not sure if you can trust this person with who you really are. For those of you who are in it, like this is going to be a hard message, so I need you guys to do me a favor and just pick out the parts that are for you, because I feel like there's like I said there were two, now there's like three distinct storylines going on, so just pick out which part is for you. Okay, so there's like there's this sense, okay, I need to slow down. Okay, so there's this sense that you're not sure if this new person or they may not be a new person, but they may be a person that you want to get closer to, and you're not sure if you can trust them with your deepest self or your true self, your maskless self. And this is also a reminder that if you are unable to do so, and when I say unable, that it is tried and tested that you are unable to do that with another person. So let's not assume that we can't be ourselves around someone without giving them the benefit of the doubt. Okay. Holy, these readings, like the arcana that's coming out is wild. Like, I guess there are some depressed folks out there, and I feel you. I didn't know, like, bacon in the sun. It's taken a slow, it's taken a long time to cook. Okay, so for those of you where this is a romantic situation, it has taken a long time for you to get to where you are. So maybe you've been waiting and watching for this person, or it's taken a long time for you to see it took a long time for you to see the distrust, or to see that they were not to be trusted, and then this violated your sense of like stability. And there's another scenario in which, you know, perhaps your self, like your outside self or your masked self, was the person that was coming forward into relationships, and you didn't know that that's what you were presenting. Like you thought you were presenting your true absolute self, but you were actually still holding back. And so though there may have been many genuine things about the mask that you were presenting, this is creating part of that disconnection because you aren't trusting. And like if someone lies to you, if someone deceives you, and I know this is kind of cliche, but it really is telling more about them than of you. Like if you are fooled by a lie, it means that you wouldn't catch it because you yourself would not do something or think that way, right? And there are all kinds of different people who think in different ways. Oh my gosh, wow. Okay, so your way out of the darkness, first of all, is that you can have the most beautiful, loving connection here in this scenario. I think that you don't have to wait for yourself to be out of this darkness. You don't have to wait to be like some kind of like finished, perfect being in order to approach this person or in order to be with this person. For those of you that are with someone, or you didn't have to be, so like past, present, future, whichever this falls for you, you didn't have to be, like you weren't required to be perfect in order to like scan for like any possibility of lies, or to honor these trust issues, or like not honor them, but like kind of like you're in service to them in the beginning of a relationship or something like that. And that's your fear. But like I've said this before, but it just really, really resonates with me. Like you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. And it really helps, you know, to think about, okay, I said this to them and this is how they reacted. What I have a problem with is that they were not who I thought they were, and accepting that reality is something that I'm having a hard time with. Right? Like you're having a hard time accepting what is real. Oh, sorry, that's not supposed to be in the middle. That's supposed to be here. The Chariot. Okay. Overlap. Look at these like two energies where it's like these are facing each other, these are working in tandem with each other. I feel like there is a way in which we can come out of this darkness in tandem with someone else. In this pile number 3, I feel like if you are isolating yourself, it may benefit you to not do that. To trust that your partner or your future partner is someone who is able to take this walk with you, take this journey with you. There's a progression here as well. So like a growing up that happens when love, like unconditional love and an abundance of it. Like there's a lot of love here. There's even the spirit of, I don't know why this word is coming, libations, like gifts that like physical gifts, like money or work or something, something like a new chapter of like what your body can do. Oh, okay. Well, have fun with that. That yeah, that's okay. Like, don't be depressed. So sorry. I can say that because I'm a depressed, right? Because I'm like a sad person, and I get how like not feasible that is, but it's just stop it, you know? Okay, overall, wow. Okay. So this pile 3 is like kind of a culmination of all 3 piles. There's going to be a little bit of a burden to carry in the healing of this this trust, this love, this sadness, this I'm hearing boundaryless hellscape. Does that resonate with someone? Can you please tell me in the comments? You're like, I have a smile on my face in a you know, there is darkness, but there is also so much light to reach for. There's so much love to reach for. There's connection. There's pain. There's burden. But I feel like it's halved when it's shared. And so there's this idea that goes around, and like these ideas catch wind, and And then, I believe them, I carry them around for a while, and then I'm like, wait, no, this isn't helping me. So it's got to go. And one of them is this idea that you have to be like a fully actualized or healed person in order to find like a soulmate. And I think that's like bologna sandwiches. Okay. I think that that is this like, it's like the Protestant work ethic in disguise. It's like, wait a minute, like we thought we were like embracing some kind of spiritual evolution, and yet it's just like it's just Protestant Jesus, guys. Like it's not even Jesus. It's not his fault. It's the doctrine of that. And I was raised in, like the Protestant like sect. So like I don't know. I can say it because I know it, and I've read the Bible a bunch of times, and I've been indoctrinated in and out. So it's kind of like this, like all of those beliefs disguised as spirituality. And I think that it's time to like, okay, we don't have to carry everything on our backs alone. We don't have to be the self-sacrificial like lamb. We don't have to be virtuous and rise above every single situation. We are allowed to feel. We are allowed to need help. This chariot reminds me of like a strength that is shared by like sometimes you're the driver, sometimes you're the horse, sometimes you're the wheels, sometimes you're a bird flying above it, and you've got bacon to peel off the pavement, because let's not forget where this all started. What do I want to say in summation? Grant me the strength to not want to steal your reading. This is a beautiful freaking day coming out of the darkness. You have completed the levels. Okay? You have completed the levels. You are into the next game. And that's where I'm going to leave it for you, pile number 3. Have a beautiful day and enjoy that enjoy all of this. Okay? Take care of yourself. Lots of love. Bye.